Adventure Time holds a special place in my heart, and I imagine I share this sentiment with millions of people around the world. This rambunctious teenager and his magic dog gallivant around this eccentric world of Vu, and it captured not only our attention, but I believe it captured something much more pure than that. Raw emotion, like the tears I feel whenever I hear Everything Stays Now. And the adult themes are rampant within the storyline, but just deep enough for it to still be a brain-off, fun-time show. But today, I wanted to look a bit closer at the protagonist of Adventure Time and why I resonate so much with him and his story of growth. Today, I'll be telling you why I love Finn from Adventure Time. Adventure Time is filled to the brim with a cohesive cast of memorable characters like Marceline, Jake, and Simon, but for my focus today, I'll be focusing specifically on Finn and what makes him such a compelling and relatable character. Finn is first found wrapped in a leaf, abandoned and alone. He is not just an abandoned child, but seemingly the only human on the entire planet. He is found by two talking dogs, who take him in and raise him alongside their other children, Jake and Jermaine. Finn grew up like this and was tethered to Jake, his adopted brother, and they end up becoming best friends, but this is just where the journey begins. Now, early Adventure Time, while having a coherent plot, it lacked direction, or meaning. We see Finn fight off monsters with Jake, save princesses, and explore around Ooo, diving into dungeons and meeting wizards. Although not on purpose, this greatly reflects the start of Finn's development. He is young, he is simple, and he is orientated on what is right in front of him at the time, and the show reflects that, usually having a self-contained story within each episode. Not much depth, but a light into an optimistic and energetic kid that is Finn. In the first two seasons, Finn is really establishing himself as a hero, or what he believes is righteous and just. He gains a crush for the princess of the Candy Kingdom and has a few run-ins with the ongoing antagonist, the Ice King, but not entirely in the way you would expect. Most shows have an antagonist that is seemingly pure evil, especially young, cartoony ones, with their intentions and plans being just super evil and maleficent. Finn's interactions with the Ice King early on suggest that Finn could see past things like this, and he saw Ice King's actions and maybe saw some deeper ulterior motives, such as desperation and loneliness. Finn's first event that showed more depth was his feeling of heartbreak after being rejected by Princess Bubblegum. Finn was infatuated with PB, seemingly from the jump. It was a clear path, right? The hero loves the princess. Simple. Wrong. PB doesn't like Finn. Well, she does like him, but she's a bit older than him and they don't seem to share a lot in common, so they cut things off. They are too different in age, maturity, and sexuality, I guess? I'm not really sure if PB swings both ways. This shakes Finn to the core though. He gets all gummed up inside. And I believe this is a turning point for the show, where emotional fallout can be seen and felt as it dictates the story and the relationships seen on screen. After this event, the show starts to ramp up in emotional themes and how they affect the cast. We see Finn, heartbroken. He was lost. Almost not the same hero as he once was, unsure of himself and wallowing. This was the first time I felt connected to Finn. At the time I was watching, I was young and definitely not heartbroken as of yet, but I connected to his relatability. After the heartbreak though, we see Finn with a more age-appropriate and fitting partner, Flame Princess, the hot-headed lover girl who brings flame and ruin wherever she walks. But to Finn, she was beautiful. She was pure energy, and she was a path forward. Adventure Time really started to knuckle down and get us invested in these characters and the importance of their emotion, trauma, and pushing characters to be fully realised and impactful. Finn the Human, the opening Season 5 episode, captures the start of something so real and raw that I was never prepared for it. Leaving out the gripes of existence and a linear timeline in which Finn is Finn, he makes a wish to the Wishmaster Prismo to save his universe by wishing the Lich had never existed. He is then teleported to Farm World, populated with fellow humans and family, Finn is a normal boy and everything seems to be different from Moo, but he gets caught up in the wrong crowd and stirs up some trouble. By the end of the episode, it's a horrific collapse of Finn's mentality as he takes up the ice crown as Jake is dissolved in radioactive sludge. This brief showing of an alternate reality is so powerful to me because it shows the fragility of events and how they can turn off and run off into directions you had never planned. Finn isn't an evil person. Finn isn't a destructive person either, but in this world he was. To me, this was a look into how circumstances and events can shape and mould you even if you are trying your best to be a good person. Nuance is needed, and it's a great showing of humanity. Season 5, Episode 30, Frost and Fire, Finn starts to enjoy the reactions of those people around him. So he starts playing jokes and pranks on the Ice King and Flame Princess. Finn causes emotional distress for the two people, using manipulative tactics for his own entertainment. Finn isn't perfect, he's quite short-sighted at times, and willingly manipulated someone he loved for his own benefit. Showing Finn as a flawed character with questionable decision-making, and making him live with the eventual fallout of Flame Princess breaking up with him, is such a great representation of a teenage boy and their impulses and their mistakes. Shit really starts to hit the fan at the start of the 6th season, Escape from the Citadel. It's the first time we encounter Finn's father, Marvin, and it was traumatic to say the least. Finn had struggled with his abandonment and self-worth. He doesn't really understand and deeply wants the answers to what had happened to him and why. Finn and Jake make their way to the interdimensional prison known as the Citadel, only for the Lich King to start melting the whole place down. And as Finn quite literally holds onto his father with all his strength, just to speak or, get some answers, Martin makes it apparent he doesn't care for Finn. And he eventually escapes through a portal directly leading to Finn losing his arm. Finn's mental anguish is so apparent. He has been abandoned yet again and lost his sword arm, a core part of him and his identity and his worth. Understandably, Finn is struck with grief and struggles to find his self-assuredness that he once had. He is hesitant and distant. Not only is such a thing a great allegory for body disfigurement and trauma, it really resonates with one's identity. If the best thing you had is taken, and what you thought would be fruitful ends up slapping you back 20 steps, how are you meant to keep a stable mind, a stable self, a path to follow? He veers a bit here, and we all felt it too. But there are seeds of growth. Season 6 of the show really starts to give some Finn, some more growth and maturity. I see this through the episode Breezy. Not having an arm anymore, Finn is left with a flower protruding from his limb. Although he sees it as not very helpful and a terrible thing that had happened to him, he met Breezy, a bee who had taken an interest in Finn's flower, regarding it and seemingly in love with it. Finn holds little value in this flower and reminisces on his lost arm. But I think indirectly, Breezy was showing Finn that even after traumatic experiences, even after body disfiguration, even after being abandoned for the second time, that their worth is what has come from those events. The flower was a living representation of his trauma, and although he couldn't find love or value in it, Breezy did. And with that acceptance and a little help from Breezy, Finn regains his arm, a metaphor for accepting grief, and how that can make a human whole again. Beautiful, don't you think? More growth is seen in Season 6's 6th and 7th episode. In the 6th episode, Too Old, Finn comes to grips with no relationship in PP in the future, and that it's okay. A sign of maturity, a sign of moving past things, and then meeting again with his deadbeat dad. He is mad with Martin, and for the right reasons, but it seems Martin has no time at all to think about the things from Finn's perspective. He is a self-absorbed person, and Finn starts to realise this. The comet is the culmination of all of this growth that Finn has had to endure. He and Martin encounter a purple comet and it offers them to go to the end and the beginning, or to stay as humans in this lifetime. Finn says that he's put a lot of effort into this meat existence and would like to see it through to the end, to which the comet is content with Finn's choice. Martin, you can't really say the same. He's excited by this possibility and wants to travel into a new plane of existence. Finn is initially disappointed that his father is going to run off again and leave him, but he finds comfort by realizing Martin was never going to change for him, and that this was the ultimate act of abandonment. And that's what his father really wanted, and Martin was glad that they could finally understand each other, even if it didn't bring much closure to him and his relationship. Finn eventually finds out the existence of a human island and travels there in the island's miniseries. Here, Finn meets his mother, Minerva, a doctor who isn't alive technically, but she's there and supports all the humans on the island. They talk emotionally, and Finn gains some insight and needed closure on his abandonment and the steps that led up to Martin's escapade. He finds comfort in this and the fact that other humans exist. The last real tribulation that Finn had to face was himself. Kinda. Sorta. Well, Fern to be more exact. Which was the grass sword manifestation into a humanoid clone of Finn with agency and emotions of his own. Fern gave Finn an avenue to really look inward at his flaws, his sins, his actions and what he truly represents, the last separation of his identity. His doubt of if he is a good person or not. Finn confronts these deeper and darker aspects of himself, which are masterfully curated through Finn's experiences with Fern, as well as Finn's confrontation with him. The last confrontation between the two is where they reconcile, and this acceptance truly propels Finn into his last steps of maturity and closure as he's growing into an adult. And as Adventure Time is closing in an epic battle between good and evil, magic and demons, Fern lays his life down for the betterment of everybody, symbolically leaving his flaws behind and being the hero he knows he is. And as Finn plants a tree over Fern's remains, it just seals the symbology of growth even in the face of the greatest adversity. A beautiful journey, to say the least. Now, I'm not 100% on why Adventure Time is so deeply ingrained into my psyche, but I have a few ideas why I love it, as well as why I love Finn the character. Being released from the early 2010s, I was basically Finn's age and felt a connection off the bat with this crazy fun world and style. I kept watching as I grew older, recording each episode on my home TV and stacking them all up, collecting, if you will, and I was just filled with pure joy and ecstasy any time that I could watch it. As the themes and characters matured, I guess so did I understood more, I noticed more, and was deeply infatuated by it and its complexities. I grew up in a single mother household, so the abandonment from Martin struck a chord with me. I too felt like I was a super cool kid who was fun and engaging and nice to be around. I felt the same confusion as Finn, the confusion of why they wouldn't want to be here. This avenue is not the only form in which I relate to Finn. I've also had tumultuous relationships romantically and struggled with my identity and self-worth as a teenager, and even now I do at times. The raw and unfiltered emotions I had been feeling and being confused by were magically being portrayed by a fun, loving and memorable character. I watched him overcome, I watched him cry, I watched him fall over and over again, but I also saw his effort. I also saw him looking inward to find the deeper problems, and I also found that he would surround himself with people that loves him. Finn's journey isn't a straight line either. He has had ups and downs.
Whoa.
He has had moments of pure
Why don't you just use that thing all the time?
and moments of
Oh,
pure
it takes a
hesitance.
piece of your soul each time
To me,
you use
this
it.
was so
But
reassuring.
look, the
And so
legendary
even though after
Black
traumatic
Quarters.
events or things that were
Oh, it must be
affecting
so fun to
I could
work
always
here,
have this
just sitting
comfort show to
around,
guide
making
me,
up jokes
even
all
if
day.
At
Hey.
the time, I didn't think it was.
Hey.
I'm 21 now.
Aw,
and
who
I
are you?
resonate with Finn's journey. He holds
You
so
win.
much sentiment
Fine.
for what he loves, and
I've
he's
never
willing
let
to
anyone
protect it.
inside before, so
He's
I hope you have an
curious,
amazing
and
pitch.
He's unapologetically himself.
Hey,
And he really laid
these
down
are all
the
my
blueprint on how I should
submissions. They
operate
kept them in
as
a big
growing
pile
boy.
by the door.
As ridiculous
Seems
as
like a
that
good
sounds.
sign.
Finn also being the only human in the land of Ooh and feeling that alienation, isolation really. I always knew I was a bit different. Finn knew that he was different, and he did know why, but it still helped me
Our very own
progress through that
Man,
and
that caption was
find
amazing in my
comfort
head.
in being
Maybe
myself
I'm not a very
and who I
funny
am.
person. Like I got low comedy stats.
For me,
That's kind of a
Finn
bummer.
was a role model, a friend, and someone that I could aspire to be
Yo,
like.
BMO, check it
Throughout
out.
Ooh,
I got
a
Bled to
land
publish
full
my
of
caption,
love,
even though I don't
joy,
need you to think I'm
mystery,
funny anymore.
And that is why I love Finn the Human. Adventure Time. A beautiful story